Today I'm gonna show you how to replace the brake rotor and pads on a Dodge Ram Charger. If you're new to this channel, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get started. To get to the brake rotor, we have to first raise the tire. In this case, I'm using a 3-ton floor jack. Once the tire is off the ground, I'll use an impact driver to remove the lug nuts. At this point, we can put the lug nuts aside along with the tire. Now this is the new brake rotor. Some cars have directional rotors, but this one can be installed on both the left or right tire. To remove the old rotor, we have to first remove the caliper by unscrewing the brackets. With the help of a hammer, the brake caliper can be removed and then placed on the axle. If you look closely at the brake rotor, you can see that the wheel hub is blocking the rotor, so I'll remove that next. We'll start by removing the cover, followed by a snap ring, a gear which joins the axle to the wheel, then a large nut, a large washer, another large nut, followed by a bearing. At this point, the hub can be removed along with the rotor. To remove the old rotor from the hub, we have to hammer out the studs. Now that the studs are out, I'll place them in a freezer to make them shrink, which will make reinstallation way easier. While we're waiting for the studs to cool down, we can remove the rotor from the hub using a screwdriver to pry them apart. I'll gently drop the hub onto the new rotor while trying not to touch the rotor surface with my greasy hands. To extend the life from the hub, I'll remove the old grease and replace it with some new bearing grease. At this point, it's been around an hour since placing the studs in a freezer, so I'll drop the studs before hitting them in place with a hammer through a 50mm socket. While installing the new rotor, make sure not to touch the surface with greasy hands since it can prevent the brakes from working. To secure the new rotor in place, I'll begin with installing the bearing with a small section facing inward, followed by the nut, then the washer, and then another nut, and finally the drive gear, which I had to rock back and forth while applying a push force. I also installed the snap ring along with the hub cover. Now it's time to install the new brake pads. I'll start by depressing the cylinder to make space for the new brake pads. Before installing the pads, I'll apply a thin layer of grease to the back of the pads to decrease noise while braking. The large pad belongs on the caliper, while the small pad can be slid onto the caliper bracket. And if everything is done right, the caliper should be able to go back in place with ease. To secure the caliper, I'll reinstall the metal brackets. Nice and tight. At this point, we can reinstall the tire, followed by torquing down the lug nuts. If you like this video, then make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.